We are here with Father Arturo Sosa, Father General of the Society of Jesus. Father, it's really been a great pleasure having you around with us, and we thank you for granting us this interview. So, how are you doing so far? You spent 3 days here.
Very well. I'm feeling really welcome, warmly welcome in Chad and here in Douala. So I have met so many people. I have prayed together with the community of the Annunciation Parish in a very nice celebration for the Good Friday and for the Pascua, for the Easter. So really, I'm very happy.
Let's talk a bit about the Father General. And Father, you've been Father General for a while now, and let's just know what you're grateful for this short period of time that you've been Father General.
For the society as a apostolic body, before being general, my experience was very limited to my province and to Latin America. I joined the society in 1966. I have been working in Venezuela all my life, except the last 2 years before being provincial. I was in Rome in the interprovincial houses, but all my life was in the province with the contact with the other provinces, especially in Latin America. So the experience of these almost 3 years, 2 years and a half as general is to find the diversity, the creativity of the Society of Jesus, not only Jesuits, but also so many people that is engaged in the mission. So everywhere I go, that was my program in these first years, is that to know as much as possible in their own context, Jesuits and partners in mission. So everywhere I find people really engaged and really doing the mission of God, dealing really with a spiritual deepness and trying to help the people around to respond to what they have to do from the gospel and in the context they are.
So now that you're getting in touch with the province, the Society of Jesus worldwide, what would you really wish Jesuits could improve on?
You know that the Jesuit life is always a life in tension between so many things to do and to have really a deep spiritual life, to have time to service and time to deepen your intellectual formation is always in tension. And I think the challenge is really to have that tension in positive, because the tensions, you cannot avoid the tensions just eliminating one of the poles of the tension. You cannot be only praying, you cannot be only studying, you cannot be only in action, on social action, on in educational action. You need to maintain all those things working at the same time together. And I see this is the challenge. The challenge is to really understand all the dimension of the Jesuit life, and all the dimension of the collaboration we do to the mission of the church. And we struggle with that everywhere. And for example, here in Africa and in Asia, the formation for young Jesuits is a big challenge. We have to really offer the opportunity of a formation for the future, not only for now. It's not only to repeat or to have a tradition that we have for so many years, but to really open minds and hearts and communities and style of working to new ways of doing things. So I think this is the big challenge of the society, is to keep the tradition and the memory of our fathers, that really they have been amazing in their action and their deepness in the spiritual life, and also to respond now, in a different way, and in the future in a different way.
Father, let's come back to your visit within our province. We were really gladdened by the fact that you chose to come and spend Holy Week with us. and you pray with us, you baptized in our churches, you reignited the humble service of washing the feet, you anointed some of the catechumens. I just want to know how fulfilled are you with all this experience and how grateful are you?
The goal of coming to the provinces, to this province in these days, is that one to take part in the life of the province. So I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to be here during these days, during the Holy Week and all the celebration of the Holy Week that allows me to be really part of a community, parish community and a Jesuit community that is involved in this kind of service to the people, and to be part of that. And see, I'm so far I'm so happy to participate in that, and that gives me really a better feeling of what are you doing as Jesuit, how the province is really in contact with the reality around, and how you are trying to be good servers of the people of God. I know that it's not only the only moment and the only experience you can have, but it's a very important signal for me. And then I have met so many people, Jesuits and non-Jesuits, to take a word with different. So all of this give me a really good context for what I have to respond when I respond a letter to the provincial or to the others we are in touch all the time, and to have a better idea of what are the apostolic challenge in Africa.
Thank you, Father. I just want you to tell us like one thing that was really striking in this visit, in this time of Holy Week and the contact with the people. Just one thing that really stood out that is kind of memorable to you.
For me, it was very a nice and moving experience. Both celebration of the Good Friday and the celebration of the Easter in the parish. I found a big community. There were a lot of people, but really a community that was praying, and was trying to hear the word of God with passion, without hurry. I was very moved by the happiness of the new baptized last night, when really they were doing something authentic, Okay. Authenticity, I think, was I was very positive impressed about really how to live with the simplicity, but also with deepness, what you are doing in one moment as a sacrament that is a commitment for your life. So I think in the context of so many difficulties in this country, or the interreligious relationship is not always easy, and that to have people that really feels the action of the Lord in themselves and in the context, and people who is really willing to be witness of the gospel is a joy.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Father. Now let's talk a little bit about the province. Now that you're in here in the West Africa province, you must have known that it's quite a big province with 14 countries. Mm-hmm. And I just want to know if the vastness of the province strike you. Of course, you've had echoes of restructuring, and you've even encouraged discernment towards alike, in line with the apostolic preferences. But, and then you've always talked about the boldness of the impossible, and I just want you to help us situate it in this context with the vastness of our province. How can we be bold in getting the mission done in such a vast arena?
We are beginning the Easter epoch of the liturgy, but we will end with the ascension of the Lord, and. You remember how many were there?
Of course, there were very few.
You remember what were the words of the Lord?
Go and make all nations.
Go where? Well, all over the world. Yeah. So it was a little more, a little more vast, and was very few people. So that I think this is the characteristic of the mission of us as Christians and as a Jesuit. We want to do that kind of. We are not trying to make the mission in our size. We are trying to be fulfilled to the faithful to the mission of the Lord. As you know, a province is an instrument for the apostolate. It's not. We are not a territorial organization. No, the Society of Jesus has been organized in provinces for many years, but it's not the only way of organization. And and we are now trying to make a process of understanding better with the new means we have in hands in these moments today, how to adapt the organization of the society to the mission. So what is more important than the territory or the is what are the mission and how our discernment conducts us, puts us in a understanding of the mission of the society, and then we organize our resources in that direction. And now we are having we have provinces that are more or less linked to a territory, but also we have a lot of other kinds of organization for the apostolate, for example, in networks, in education that are not well, the schools are somewhere, but the way of organizing are yes. So we are learning and looking for new ways of to cover as much as possible, because the mission, if not only for all the world, but also for all the aspects of the human life. And that's another challenge, because it's not to do only, for example, parish work, or not only to do the education work, but how to respond better to the new necessities of the men and women and young people today.
And today we are talking about the universal apostolic preferences. During your visit, you present them, and I must say that there was really some depth in the way you presented, and it really gave us new understanding. I just want to know how satisfied you are with the reception of the universal apostolic preferences. How satisfied are you that the Jesuits and their collaborators are receiving it?
For me, it was a big challenge, for me and for the General Council, what we call the enlarged council of the society, that are the councillors and also the presidents of the conferences of provincials and the secretary for apostolic sectors. For us and for me, was because it was my responsibility, or is my responsibility, to make the discernment, to make the proposal to the society to make a process of discernment, so the preferences were fruit of that. That big challenge, I think, was a very good school for me. No, in the sense that the process itself, to arrive to the preferences, has been very graceful. We really experience that we can be guided by the Spirit, not only by our reasons, not only by our thinking, but really to be guided by the Spirit. And also, I have learned, and we have learned, that we can do really common discernment. That is not only a text you read, could be possible to do this. Not many Jesuits were very, very skeptical about in the first moment. And I think that the skepticism was overcome during the process, thanks to the experience, thanks to the grace of God present in our communities, our apostolic works, and apostolic and our way of proceeding in this process. The process itself has been a big grace for the society. Now we have the preferences that also understanding that are not our preferences. No, we were guided by the Spirit. We put that in the hands of the Church through the Pope, as our founders want to have the mission of the church. So you remember, everyone remembers in the society how they, after they cannot make their plans, no, they went and they put they be available to the church through the Pope. So we are doing the same. We are doing the same, and we received these preferences just 1 month and a half ago from the Pope. So this is a mission for us. It's not only the result of our process we have been engaged, but also it's a mission received by the Pope. So now we have just receiving this. Today is the Easter feast. I'm writing to all major superiors in today's day a letter asking to promote in each region and province a process of assimilating and really internalize what the preferences are, and do this also as an experience of praying with the preferences, to again open our hearts, our minds to the Spirit. So it will be the Spirit who will guide us on how to implement this. We are not in a hurry. We are not in a hurry. This is not okay, now we have to do something with. No. The first step is really to assimilate and to try to really enjoy what the Spirit is asking us, and what are the big challenges of this, and then we can go to planning, and then we can go to, because reading the preferences in the first step, in the first moment, is a invitation to us. No, the preferences, all the 4 preferences are asking us to be more coherent in our life, to live more profoundly the spiritual exercises, to really practice the discernment and the spiritual conversation, to be close to the poor, really close to the poor, spiritually and materially to the poor, and to the young people, to really put ourselves in the shoes of the young people, and to really make small changes, but changes in our life, so we also can be in a different way of living, more ecological. The first destinatary of the preferences is ourselves and our partners. So we have also a big challenge to how we share the preferences, and what is the Spirit behind the preferences, and what is the Spirit saying us as an apostolic body that are Jesuit, other religious women and men, other lay people, also women and men, that are part of this challenge. So now we are entering in a process of getting deep in that, and avoid temptations, because the Jesuits read the letter and say, no, but that's what we are doing. We are confirmed, and so, it's a message behind that.
One of the things we realized was that here and there, the apostolic preferences were kind of shortened somehow. So I really want you to just comment a little bit, because it's like when we synthesize, we lose something, we throw out something. If we reduce it, people just read and but we know this, oh yeah, it's common, we know that you do these things. But I think we really need to just take it as it is, expand it and understand it more.
That's why I am proposing to the society to take it step by step. And the first step is to not go deeper than the first reading. A first reading always is a superficial reading. And now have to read personally, to read in common in our communities, our apostolic works, but also I am proposing the society to pray with the preferences, because the preferences are not ours, I've said before. It's some inspiration from the Spirit. So this is the inspiration of the Spirit is not it's not only yes, it's a mechanical. It's not a slogan. It's not. No, it's yes, and it's ongoing.
Yeah.
No, it's not one time forever. No,
Right.
yeah. And then we have to be aware. No, we have experienced exercises, and we have to really take advantage of that. No, the first spiritual exercises are organized in weeks. Each week has a goal. No, and the first step in the spiritual exercises is to be aware where we are.
Yeah.
No, where we are. Principle and fundamentals. What are the premises, and then how we need to really understand that we are sinners, that we are not perfect, that we have to change ourselves, and and then the second week, how we identify ourselves with Jesus, and to participate in the third week with the patient, and then we have to do all the process also with the preferences, no, to understand where we are. Not just to say, not to take that preference to justify what we are doing now.
Yeah.
No, the preferences are a path for the renewal of the society. If not, we are not being faithful to the Spirit. And this, we have to understand that we are not doing all what we can, and the better way we can. No, the magic is a real challenge for the society. So we have to really get in deeper, and not just to make a checklist. No, I do this, and satisfy and justify of what are you doing and how you are doing now. No, this is all the preferences are full of questions. Even if we are doing something that in a certain way is aligned with that, but we always are challenged by the magic. We always can do much better what we are doing now.
Yeah, exactly. And as we're talking about the preferences, let's just land on one, the very first, which is showing the way to God through the exercises and discernment. But I just want to put it in our context, where most Christians are Christians because they are born in Christian families. And one of the striking elements of the Ignatian spirituality is election. Election. So with these preferences, how creative can we be in a context like ours with spiritual exercise to help these people in order to better imitate Christ, better know Christ, and to better follow Christ?
There's no Christian life without an election. No, you can be formally Christian because you come from a Christian tradition, a Christian family, a Christian sociological context. But that if you don't go to the process of the election, you will be you will be a sociological Christian, as you said before, but not a Christian, not a real follower of Jesus. One of the very interesting challenges for the society in the next years is that the society is growing in context where Christianity is a minority. No, all Asia and most of Africa are Christians, and Catholics are a minority. No, and the society is growing there. In the past, the society was very numerous and very in Christian context. Now we are growing in non-Christian or minority Christian context, and I think there is a message from the Spirit. Know how we can live better our Christian life and being really messengers for the others. No, for we want to have a real understanding with other religions. We want to have a real understanding with people that do not believe, and we have something to say to them. We have something to give them, because we have a treasure, and that treasure is Jesus Christ, and we have a way to show how to encounter Him. So I think in this context we have new opportunities, and we have to recreate our way of living and doing our apostolate.
So let's talk about reconciliation, which was the mark of the apostolic preferences of the last decade, but which we still continue in this time. And reconciliation, I want to talk about countries that are going through tension and all sorts of crises that we know. For example, you come from Venezuela, where we have some tensions there. You've visited other countries where we have tensions. We followed the death of one of our fathers in the Middle East, who passed away. And now you're in Cameroon, and of course, many Jesuits have worked here in Cameroon, and some have lost their lives within this kind of context. Today, what we are going through is an unprecedented kind of situation, where the country is kind of divided along linguistic and cultural barriers. I just want you to tell us how we Jesuits who are in this context can help in this process of reconciliation and peace building.
Well, as you know, reconciliation is the word how the General Congregation 36 synthesized the mission of the society after a long experience of 50 years. And the word came out because, as you also remember, as Jesuits remember, Father Nicolas, when he convoked the General Congregation, he asked all the provinces of the society in their provincial congregation to answer 3 questions about what are the 3 calls that we are feeling in this moment. That was in 2015. So it was very amazing how the 80 provinces of the society put in the surface this situation. Everywhere we are living in wounded societies. Some of them with war and violence, others with discrimination, religious discrimination, persecution, others because of social discrimination, others because they are closing their doors to the immigrants, or so we have everywhere so deep human conflicts, and really that are hurting our people and hurting our family, hurting our society. No, I was 2 weeks before coming to Chad and to Cameroon. I was in Syria, celebrating the murder of Father Van der Loek 5 years ago in the middle of a war, and before I was in Central America, in El Salvador, visiting the tomb of Rutilio Grande, and so on. Father Odiango in South Sudan, just less from a year ago. So conflicts are hurting ourselves, are hurting so many people. One of the more movement moments in the celebration the other day in the parish was the moment when the Mary was crying for the lamentation of the mother losing their son. So came to my mind and to my heart so many mothers in this world that really are crying their sons, as Mary did. So this is really is where we are, and we sent to, and we are sent in a message of reconciliation and justice. As the General Congress Society, preferences are trying to orientate ourselves to focus on that, and that reconciliation is as a follower of Jesus, how Jesus proposed to reconcile, giving his life, and that we are called to. No, yeah. When we are called to show the path through the exercises, we are called to give our life and to invite people to give their life, to make the elation of give their life. In any way, you don't know really in which way you are going to give your life. Yes, the first step to give our life, that following Jesus, is the incarnation among the poor. And that's what he did, and what we are called to. Jesus was a young man when he was killed, and we are also called to really take part of the processes of making decisions and in the youth moment of your life, and also for if the humanity is wounded, also the planet is wounded by the human injustice. So reconciliation in all these dimensions is what we are called to, and I think it's a profound reading of the message of the gospel. No, how Paul's in the second letter to the Corinthians says that very well. No, we are part. What is the mission of Christ? To reconcile all things in Him, and we have received the ministry of reconciliation. So, what the Society of Jesus want to do in the next 10 years is to deep in that direction of our life and mission.
Thank you very much, Father. Let's talk about Pope Francis, which is our very beloved Pope and a Jesuit for that matter. He is the head of the church, and well, I'd like to say he's ambassador of the Jesuit characteristics to the universal church. So when you hear him talk, when you hear him act, how do you feel as a Jesuit? And how do you appreciate the efforts that Jesuits are giving him now that he's Pope, especially during this moment that have been difficult in his papacy, and which he has handled with a lot of grace and a lot of patience?
Pope Francis really is acting as a prophet, a prophet for the world and for the church. And he has, as all prophets, he has so many people that like his message and so many people that is very against him and will try to stop what he's doing. During the general congregation, I remember some of the companions gathered there that was sharing the experience of receiving Pope Francis in our congregation, saying something like this: it's very amazing for us to feel we are 3 or 4 steps behind the Pope. So the Pope is 3, 4, or 5 steps ahead of us. Yeah. So a man that is older than us, but that has more experience than us, that maybe can be more tired than us after a long life, and he have facing so many challenges, and he's really ahead of us, no? In his way of understanding the mission, the way of his understanding of what the church can give to the world today, in his signs, no? Well, it was very striking last week when he make the action of kissing the feet of the Sudanese government, no? Yeah. Very striking. That's a kind of prophet. Yes, we can remember so many signs, no? Yes, beginning his pontificate, he went to the Mediterranean Sea to throw flowers because so many people is dying, trying to cross there to a better life. So he has a lot of this kind of sign, and this, I think, is really moving ourselves to be more, because his message, when you hear his homilies, he's really founded in the gospel. He is a man of prayer, there's no doubt. And he's a man that he's, as Ignacio said, a big familiarity with Christ, with familiarity with the gospel, and he has a way of yes, and proposing to the church, this is the way, and it's a big fight against him, against this style of church. I like to say that Pope Francis is not a solitary genius or a solitary prophet. No? He is a son of the Second Vatican Council. So what Pope Francis expressed about the church, what Pope Francis expressed in his action as a pope, as a bishop, as a priest, he is trying to put in practice what the Vatican II asked all the church, and we have been struggling for 50 years trying to make real that style, that model of church.
So, Father, now let's talk about, we're talking about the characteristics of the Jesuit and Pope Francis being an ambassador, but I would like to just inform you that a cross-section of our scholastics, after your visit, will be meeting in a symposium. And the theme of the symposium turns around our Jesuitness, being fundamentally Jesuit. And I'd just like, now that you're in our midst, to encourage on what it is to be fundamentally Jesuit. Your own, what would you say to them?
Well, the society are giving you the preferences, so that is you have to conform to that as Jesuits. Many times I have share with the scholastic all over the world that Ignatius never talked about formation. He never used that word. No, he talks about probation. No, the process, what we call now formation, so from the admission to the society until the last vows, for Ignatius is a probation process. Probation, yes. And probation in what sense? Probation in the sense of your really respond to your election. If you really are guided by the Spirit, if you are calling by the Spirit, in the sense that you have in the Formula Instituti says, if you have the grace, if you feel you are receiving the grace to be part of this group with all the challenges that being part of this group of the Society of Jesus means. So that's I think for you, for my young Jesuits in probation, don't lose that. No, the intellectual formation is very important. Spiritual life very important. Community life very important. Experience of the apostolate is very important. But really, what you need is to confirm that you are receiving the same charisma of San Ignacio and his companions. We are not, the Society of Jesus is not ours. No, it is the Society of Jesus. And we are receiving something. No, and we have to really be open to receive that way of life that the Society of Jesus means. And there is the process of the probation is that. The probation is if really we conform our life to that charism, so we can be part of this apostolic body.
Yeah, and let's just talk about the idea of being a Jesuit first. We have the priesthood, we have the final vows, but what's more important is being a Jesuit.
Being a Jesuit is being a companion of Jesus. And if we are not really rooted in Christ and willing to be companion in his way of giving in his life, and the consequences of that call is to conform a congregation, no, a religious congregation. We are not called to be priests in the first moment. Yeah. In the first moment, we are called to be Jesuits, no. And there are a lot of Jesuits, a lot of good Jesuits, a lot of saints in the society that they are not priests, they have not been priests. The priesthood in the Society of Jesus from the very beginning is a way of being better servers of the people. But you don't need to be priest to be a Jesuit. To be a Jesuit. So the first thing is to be a Jesuit. And a Jesuit is a man who is consecrated, whose life is consecrated to be companion of Jesus in this mission with others, of reconciliation and justice. This is what being Jesuit today is important. It's general congregation 32 make that question: what is a Jesuit? What is being a Jesuit? No, and the first thing that the congregation answer is a sinner. A Jesuit is a sinner who has received the forgiveness of his sins and has been called to be follower of Jesus. And we cannot forget that definition of ourselves. So we are, as the other men and women in the world, we are people who need to be safe. No? And we are safe being a Jesuit. We are safe because we follow a call to overcome our limitation, because we really trust in the grace of God, and we trust in what the charisma of society gives to us. In the first document of the society that I mentioned before, also all the time is that. No, the Society of Jesus is not an action plan. No, it's not a job. The Society of Jesus is a way to save your soul. That's what St. Ignatius says. To save your soul and to help others to save themselves. How? With the being in touch, being in familiarity with Jesus Christ. That's what the Society of Jesus is, and what we have to do to be a Jesuit.
Yeah, I'll just remember Father Antonio Spadaro asking a question to Pope Francis. Father Pope, talk about yourself. Who are you? And Pope Francis said, I'm a sinner. That was a very deep, solemn way of expressing his Jesuitness and his person.
Don't forget that Father Jorge Mario Bergoglio was part of that congregation.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, of course.
He was. He was at that time. He was the provincial of the Argentinian province, and so he was in that congregation. But he only was. You can be in a place and you cannot be aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
I think, as I said before, Pope Francis is a son of the Second Vatican Council, but also is a son of the 31, 32, and 33 general congregations, where the Society of Jesus, under the direction of another extraordinary man, that is Father Pedro Arrupe, was really open their doors, their hearts, their minds to understand what is the new call that Jesus gives us, and beginning to recognize that we are sinners.
Father, let's talk about collaboration. It has come up in most of your talks, most of your speeches, and I think it's a very important aspect. And the size of our province is growing, even though what you said is not the size that matters, it's how we go about the mission. And of course, we have been we have been collaborating with laymen and women, some who are not even Christians, and many have supported us from being part of the mission that we are part of as Christ followers. Some have assisted us with fundraisings. I'm sure you've heard about ECHOS during your visit here, and in our apostolates. As Father General, how would you encourage their efforts and your words of appreciation to our collaborators?
Well, I understand that as a call to conversion. No? The Society of Jesus, one of the sins of the Society of Jesus as a apostolic body, is the risk of being auto-referential. No? And I think the collaboration put us out of us. No? And the first conversion we are called to is the conversion of ourselves, as understand ourselves as collaborators. No, not a group that is seeking for people to collaborate with us. No, and that's the first calling. I think we have to hear and to feel and to move and understand ourselves as collaborators. It's a very interesting decree in General Congregation 34 that maybe Jesuits have forget. No, it's in number 13. It says something like this: the church in the future will be the church of laity. That's the program of the Second Vatican Council, and we, the Society of Jesus, we want to serve that process. We want to really make something to help the church to be the church of laity. So that is the program, and the collaboration is not only a matter of where we are so few people. Yes, they go no. It's an attitude. It's a way of understanding our mission, because we are collaborators from the very beginning, for the very moment. We are collaborators of the church, of the mission of Christ entrusted to the church, and that's the first conversion we have to make. And then the other is to really make a kind of a partnership with others. No, some of the partnership will be in our apostolic works, but others not. We have so many Jesuits working not in apostolic works of the society. No, yeah, in another kind of works, and yes, frontiers, or in a university that is a public university, or in a school is not a Jesuit school, but they are, or where people, other Christians or other Catholics are part of, and we collaborate. So that collaboration really is another way of understanding what we really can offer to the service of the church in the next years.
Any last words?
Again, I'm very grateful of this visit. I really I thank you for make me understand better how the Society of Jesus is insert and responding to so big challenges in this continent.
Father, we are very grateful for your visit, and like a young man like myself, we don't get to meet the Father General every time, so it's really an encouragement to us, and talking to you has really been a great pleasure. I wish you a safe journey to Congo Kinshasa, where you'll be meeting at the GCAM meeting. I pray that all goes well, and I pray that you get to discover again the society here and there. So I wish you really well, and I hope you enjoy your last moment with us here in Cameroon. Thank you very much, Father. Thank you.